Hi, how's it going?
Hello. Good. Good.
So I
I have
wanted
no,
to.
no oh good. I'm glad
No,
you have
no.
something because I was like, I have nothing to back up the enthusiasm of that hello. So please.
So I had this amazing weekend that was like full of legacy. So I feel like compelled
Full of
to.
legacy.
Yes, which I don't
Okay.
think is something I've ever thought about before, but this weekend I totally did. So we brought four students to a regional conference for
Okay.
geology. So many cool things happened there. One of the coolest things, which is one of my bucket list things, so now I guess I can die faster, is that my kid was attending the same geology conference as me. So
Okay.
I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like, I'm interacting with my daughter in a professional setting. Like, it was super cool.
That's
So
very fun.
yeah, and like I haven't seen her in like 11 weeks just with our schedules, and so she was like a little emo and like but and exhausted because it's like that time of the semester, but like
Hmm.
and she hasn't had any breaks. Their break starts like Friday, I guess, this week.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was
See,
super duper cool. God.
I'm never mad about having 2 weeks. It's needed for the students, like period. Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, for everybody really, but yes, for the
Hmm.
students for sure. So that happened, and then when we were
What
there,
did
go ahead.
yeah, did you get to meet like the faculty member that she was working with? Like, did you meet her teachers?
I did meet a couple of her teachers, which interestingly enough, so geology is small, right?
Yeah.
So her professor is a person who like I knew from my undergrad because he went to a nearby school and like our professors were both friends, so we met on like geology field trips years and years ago. So and then in graduate school, he dated one of my friends who went to the same graduate school. And then
Oh my.
I know, that's for off the pod. like, so now he is my daughter's teacher.
Okay, okay.
So it's cool. It's a small, weird world. It is.
Yeah.
And so she like nerded out. And at the very end of the conference, she found out that she was awarded an internship for the summer. And she is spending the summer, most of it, in South Dakota studying like vertebrate fossils in like the Badlands.
Okay.
So cool, but like also now my daughter isn't really home for the summer, which feels kind of grown up.
You're starting to get that empty nester thing. It's starting to sink in a little bit more. Is that what's happening?
So like I'm used to them not being here during like the school year now, but
Hmm.
like I always get them back in the summer, and now I may never get her back in the summer.
And
Like
eventually they're going to leave and not be living in your house anymore.
I know. So I don't know how I feel about that, but I think I am going to South Dakota in July because what more would I want to be doing?
Just to be close to her, just
Just
so you can show up at
see.
the dig site and be like, show me the fossils. Yeah, just stand on the other side of the fence and wave.
You're doing so good. Yeah. So that happened, and then we ran into quite unexpectedly another one of our students who graduated a few
Hmm.
years ago and is finishing up at Potsdam and is doing such good work, and she's like crushing it. And then our four students collaborated during a poster session and did such an awesome job, like, and we were the only community college at the conference. It was
Yeah.
like we left on such a high note, and then we the conference ended a little earlier than I originally had realized, so we stopped on the way back and went to this, like, we went to Howe Caverns, which I've never been to before, and so that was fun. And they just had a blast. It was like good bonding. It was good van time. You know, van time is important. So
Yes, van time is important.
it is.
We're strong proponents of van time on this podcast.
Huge proponents of van time. So, interestingly enough, one of the things that I found myself thinking about during this conference, which I've never done before, is I was looking at like some of the older ladies who attended the conference who were like in their late 60s, early 70s.
Hmm.
And a few of them, I happen to be like everything that is good happens in the women's bathroom. And so I was in the women's bathroom and there were these two older ladies who came in who had, it was like the first day of the conference and they like, they're just eyes lit up and they're like, oh my God. And they're like hugging and stuff like that. And I was thinking about how different it had to be a woman in STEM, like when they were first being women in STEM, like
Hmm.
30 or 40 years ago, like the amount of mansplaining and just the,
What you get now is just a microcosm of what.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, the things that I complain about sometimes are like, that was just Wednesday. It's so I looked at them with like a newfound respect, like, damn, like you're a badass. You blaze the trail for the rest of us, and just this sense of like legacy. That's really all I felt like
Yeah.
the whole weekend.
Yeah.
It was
That's
cool.
awesome.
It was a good reason to miss our Middle States visit, honestly.
If you needed an excuse.
For sure, for sure. So how about
We've
you?
got well, I haven't done anything fun recently. But I've got well, actually a couple weeks ago I went and saw like the Wicked in Rochester
Yeah,
at like the Broadway stuff, which was wild. Like I've never seen an actual Broadway like
really?
show. Yeah. Well, I don't ever want to go to New York City. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm not a city person.
Yeah.
I do remember going to a conference in like Pittsburgh once, and I was just like looking at all of the buildings, and I'm just like, this feels like I'm on a movie set. This does not feel real.
Oh
Like it's just
wow.
crowded. Yeah, I know. So New York City, it'll be too much for my little heart. Um, but I didn't realize it was like an actual Broadway production, like coming and traveling,
Yeah.
and like the amount of stuff that they did with the set was like amazing. The way that stuff just kind of moved around, and just like it starts, and like she just comes down from the ceiling like in a contraption. I'm like, this is insane. Like my mind was blown.
I
That
love
was
that.
fun. Yeah.
I kind of love like there's something a little vintage about going to see like a play. Like
Yeah.
right? Cuz they have to like
Yeah.
be creative about how to make the set and make it feel
Hmm.
like you're I don't know. There's something I don't know. It's a little magical and a little bit like you have to suspend your belief a little bit, but I love it.
Yeah. No, that was fun. And then we've got our UB trip coming up next week.
Fun.
So I'll have the van with the students. I'll have some van time next week. More updates later, probably.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yay. So that is a fun spring break, I guess.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
Welcome to Coffee Break Classroom, brewed for higher ed, where teaching meets good vibes. We're just two friends who love our work, our students, and more importantly, a good laugh. Here you can expect a blend of ridiculous classroom stories, a little education research, as well as some practical teaching advice. So grab your coffee, settle in. It sounds like it's going to be a good episode today.
So welcome everyone. It was our soft opening to to Coffee Break Classroom tonight.
Yeah, I'm Ben, in case you forgot.
Still Amanda. Still
Yeah.
Amanda. And we're still brewed for higher ed.
Yeah, I know. I just feel like we should start introducing ourselves. I don't know.
Fair.
If somebody jumps into the middle of one episode because that's what they want to listen to, gotta set the brand up. But
I like
yeah,
that.
speaking of brands, I think we're talking about hand stuff again today. It's been a while since we've talked about hands.
You're going to have to explain to those people who just logged in what the hell you're talking about.
Well, we were going to talk about hands-on learning and just kind of having physical like manipulatives, I think is the official education term for it, and how that kind of supports learning and stuff that we've done.
Yeah. So, I'd like to start by saying that I've been recently, so I teach online lectures and labs, and
Mm-hmm.
I still like separate my assignments into like this lecture section and then the lab section. And I was thinking about it recently, and that's such an artifact of like the face-to-face environment, and I really think I just want to just shake it up and put the labs kind of where they fit, logically in like the development of course material because I think
Oh yeah.
right? Because
Well, I
like
do that with my online class. That felt like I have some projects that they do. It's not a lab necessarily, but
oh
like they
okay,
have projects, and rather than having its own folder, which is where I put it for the in-person,
yep.
because they need to be able to, that's the only thing they go on there for is for that section, but the online thing, they're all there. Like they're all in
Gotcha.
it. Yeah.
So I make my online classes where there's like a weekly module. So
Hmm.
there's lecture and lab assignments. And typically like there's correlation between the lecture and the lab, but not always because sometimes you're kind of like setting up for like when the lecture and lab kind of get back together in a couple weeks. But I think that like, I think you can blow that up in the virtual, but I also think that you can do that in real life. So,
Yeah.
so what are your thoughts about that?
I love that. I mean, I just because I teach physics, when I teach physics, I love showing up with uh, experiments or just like things that we can play around with in the actual classroom space because I think it's really about being able to give students something tangible to see and interact with rather than just listening to me talk about it and show you a picture.
So, what sort of things do you bring in to play with in the classroom space?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I do for engineering, but what I used to do for physics, I would bring like springs. We would set up some, like I'd get a really long one, and we'd set up some cups in the hallway, and I would like send a wave pulse down it. And
Yep.
so we would look at the way it kind of reflects on a boundary. I would bring in yes, the we have a bicycle wheel and like rotating stool, and so we will talk about um angular momentum and stuff like that. So like you'll spin the bicycle wheel, hand it to somebody, and then like they flip it over and it causes them to spin on the stool, and they're like, "Wait, what?"
Oh, that's
Um,
fun.
yeah, it is, right? Because like it's a closed system. So like you're changing the wheel
Uh huh.
and like it has to go somewhere and it goes
Yeah,
into you as the person sitting on a stool that can rotate. So it's very fun to watch them like rack their brains about that, but then actually get up there and feel how hard it is. Like you can actually feel it as you're like turning the wheel.
I bet.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. The only thing that I've done for my engineering class, no, actually, well, for my current class, I just have a pool noodle that I
Okay.
bring in because we talk about the way that like forces and things will act on a beam, and I use that to simulate a beam because we can talk about how it will bend in one direction or bend in another direction or twist about the center, and it helps them kind of visualize that and have a touchstone for what that is. But in my other class, I bring in our lab tech had 3D printed a bunch of kind of connections on some I-beams that we had, some flexible like Pasco scientific I-beams,
Marr.
and to do to show how different supports will work and exert force.
Okay.
So there's one that's just a pin. So it allows it to rotate, but you can't pull or push it up in any direction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a couple others. Some of them I just clamp down. So it's like this is a fixed support. You can't do anything with it, right? So it's got to have all of these support reactions because it's reacting to all of the other forces to prevent the motion.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
So we like for the as much as possible, and when practical, we try to teach our lecture classes in lab spaces now.
Mm,
And we've been mostly fortunate. I think there's only like a couple times that we haven't been able to do that in the last handful of years, based on class size, just because like geology is a super tactile discipline.
hmm
And I'm not just, I mean, so it's rare that I'm not like pulling out a rock or something like that to like pass around. I taught about like this cross section of ocean crust last week, and they have a diagram for it and they label it all. And then I bring out the rocks too. And then they're like, oh, okay. And I'm like, so what trends do you see? Because there's color trends and there's grain
Yeah.
size trends and stuff like that. Um, so, so we do stuff like that all the time. And once in a while, so then we have things that are like occasional stuff, like a stream table. We'll pull out a stream table, which is so fun for kids to play with. I was actually at museum in Connecticut this weekend. There's a dinosaur trackway park. It's a great story. They like
Okay.
were putting in a new government building just outside of Hartford, and they hit a rock layer, and someone saw that there was a dinosaur footprint on it. So then they stopped and they excavated, like, I don't know, it's not even really, it's not, it's a very small, it's probably about the size of a
Yeah.
medium sized classroom, but there's like 2,000 dinosaur footprints that are that are recorded there. And I think it is the only dinosaur trackway in all of Connecticut and maybe the Northeast. I think there's some in New
That's
Jersey.
wild.
Right. So then they just like put a dome over it, and they're like, look, it's a park. Um, so so all around there though, there's like manipulatives, which is cool. There are like sand tables where like when you change, which I wish we have it one at the downtown campus, our downtown campus, but not one at our main campus, just because we haven't written the grant for it yet, honestly, where there's like a PlayStation visualizer, and you move sand around and it'll make contour lines, and then it'll be different colors, so the students can kind of conceptually get a three-dimensional idea of like
Yeah.
contour lines. Have you seen those before?
Uh, Not the table, but I mean, back when I was doing a lot of physics education research, there was a group from like Oregon State University that was making like actual surfaces for people to look at, like gradient divergence and curl, and talk about some physics stuff in vector fields, which is all contour lines. Because if
Yeah.
you think about gradient's the same thing for us,
Yeah,
like
slope.
mathematically as
It's
it would
just
be
slope.
for you. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just slope. But like having it directed in a particular way, but being able to kind of to view that as a three-dimensional surface and interact with it and as a three-dimensional surface is very valuable for students.
Yeah, I think sometimes, especially some students come in with like no concept of how to like interpret a topographic map. So contour
Right.
lines are just like they're mysterious, and so this is like a really friendly way for people to interact with materials.
Make that connection. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's also fun because like if you put your hand over like the light for too long, it's supposed to simulate clouds, so like the program will like create rain and stuff like that. So,
Oh, yeah, that's a lot cooler.
right? It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. And if you dig the sand deep, like eventually you hit quote unquote sea level, and then you see bathymetric lines, and there's like ponds and rivers and stuff like that.
Are those the underwater sea level ones?
Yes.
Or like, okay.
Yes. It's funny. So I do this assignment where I give them coastline features, and I give them
hmm
like description. Actually, I just give them words. Coastal features, especially along like the continental shelf, are super understandable, like continental slope, continental shelf, shelf break, and so they can look at a bathymetric map and kind of figure out based on the description based on the words, like what the different features are. And it's one of those moments where you don't give a lot of direction, and they're like, how am I supposed to know what an abyssal hill is? And I was like, just think about it. And they always get it right, and they're like, oh, abyssal means like dark and deep, and hill means small circular feature. Oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, look at that.
Just think about it.
Yeah, just think. I don't have a definition for this. No, but you have a really good brain, so like
I mean, to be fair, we do that to them in science all the time, where we'll just pick words and then they have to reinterpret whatever they mean. Yeah.
I mean, yes, our desire to create words in science is unparalleled for sure. But like, so I had a student who was like, wait a minute, are you saying bathymetry is like underwater contour lines? And I'm like, that's it. That's all it is. She's like, come on. I'm like, sorry. We just need another word for it.
Of course we do. Of course we do.
Right? So do you ever bring like, so I do, I'll just tell you, I bring materials like sometimes for students to like with like strips of paper for them to put things in order. Like, so I feel like that's kind of a
Mm.
hands-on material that is maybe less STEMmy, because like processes are something that kind of cut
Yeah.
across fields.
I was thinking about how to make sure that this was inclusive of other disciplines, and I
Right.
appreciate that you brought that up, because like where that is still useful is the ordering aspect of things, because like
Right.
as they're ordering it in real life, like it's kind of a way of ordering it in their brain as well. Like
Right.
it's kind of like when you cleaning up your desk or cleaning your house or apartment or whatever, like it just kind of orders your own brain.
Yes.
um and being able to kind of interact with something gives them that sense of it, or a touchstone again for being able to have something to hold on to.
Yeah, I think so many times we have like set these schedules for ourselves, and we sometimes will create these like false moments of suspense like that don't have to actually exist about like, well, we need to be on this topic on Thursday, so
Yeah.
we're getting through to Thursday. But like, I have found that there's only so much a student can learn, like, for their own cognitive load in a 50-minute period, or a like, I teach a lot of like 75-minute periods now, where like
Yeah.
I'll teach an idea and then I need to like cement it a little bit in their heads. Like, it still feels squishy and not fully formed. So I'll teach something and then we have to practice it. Like, we're not doing
Hmm.
it right to like give them something concrete and real to like draw on. Whether that's sometimes it'll be, I do this thing called fix the mistake, which is where I
Hmm.
will teach a concept and then I'll give them 5 sentences and all of them are wrong and they have to correct it. So they have to apply what they just learned to kind of have it set in their brain. I don't know.
Yeah. And if people are interested in more formative assessment, we have a whole episode on that. But like that was one of the things that
Yep.
we talked about. I like doing that stuff as well. I like the ordering stuff because again, it's just a way of just kind of giving them something to kind of touch on. And it actually reminds me of like something that one of our lab tech told me the other day, is that like the reason that we still have analog clocks like is because it gives us a sense of what it means for time to pass and like what a length of time is, and that people don't get that from like a digital clock.
That's interesting.
um like if you are only ever like they've done studies where if like you only have a digital clock for reference, you don't really have a good sense of like the how much time has passed or how much like an actual amount of time is. And giving somebody that movement of the hands on the clock is like a way to be able to have sense of time, where you don't get that with a digital clock.
That's really interesting. I've never
Yeah.
heard that before.
Yeah, it was interesting for me, and it's totally related to something we're dealing with right now, where we got some new lab equipment to look at some current and physics nonsense. But the thing to watch is like you're looking at how the current changes,
Okay.
and that's the thing that you're interested in. But the new uh, current amplifier machines are digital, so like it's
Oh.
really hard to be able to just like tell like is the number going up or down just by watching it like you have to, it's so much more work mentally to be like is the
Oh.
number going up or down,
Oh, wow.
because
That's
you're not
funny.
actually watching the little dial move, and
Uh-huh.
it also doesn't give you the sense of the rate that things are changing in the same way, whereas like having that analog actual dial to look at and see
Mm-hmm.
does.
Do you want to hear the most American story? I think
Oh boy.
I learned how
More
long,
than
like,
the Texas and the eagle out of the robe, or the pigeon, was it?
no, 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 no Texas story. I think I learned how long like seconds lasted and minutes lasted as a child by watching the microwave, like ready to eat. Like, that's what it was. Like, I was like pumped for snacks. I really, I feel like that's a uniquely American experience or a Western experience. Like, and also a little sad.
My sense of 5 minutes is how long it takes to cook rice.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this. So we had a faculty council meeting earlier. And I was thinking about some of the differences between some of our disciplines, because we
Mm.
have like a member who is from like HVAC, Bill, right?
Hmm.
Bill's awesome. But like, Bill's students, so much of what they do in HVAC is like hands on, like trying things out, having like manipulatives in their classes, right? And so for them, like the lecture part is the part that is less comfortable for them. But I think so many. So I say this anecdotally because like I've been pushing my students and actually Chloe, my daughter, to apply for internships recently for the summer. And
Mm-hmm.
now she has one locked in, so we're good. But like beforehand, like a week or two ago, I was on the phone with her and I sent her a whole, I was like, look at, these are some companies in Rochester, like check out their websites. And she was like, Mom, I don't know how to do soil sampling. And I was like, Chloe, it's like, you could teach a monkey to do soil sampling. Like, it's fine. But like, I think that sometimes we can have disciplines that are so far the opposite where like learning those
Mm,
practical skills is like almost an afterthought. Like, because I was like, they'll teach you to do soil sampling, they'll teach you to do water sampling, like it's not that serious. But how many of our students would actually feel better if we started with stuff like that entry level technicians in our fields do, and like kind of gain confidence because maybe they are less used to just different parts of your brain, right? Like I think the
mm-hmm,
hands-on
mm-hmm.
parts of your brain is, it's a different way of learning, I think, than like sitting and listening to a lecture.
I agree. I think that's just how we've been ingrained.
Yes.
Like it's the system we go through, so it's the thing that we do, and it's
Right.
hard to break out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, and I've never done soil sampling with my class, but it would literally take, I mean, the biggest time sink would be like getting them out of the classroom and down to the quad with like an auger, like a hand auger, and that would be it. Like, right? Um, and like, I know we have materials for like classifying soils and stuff like that. And that's like
Hmm.
a real actual skill and a job that people pay good ass money for students to do when they get out. But but I teach about how soil forms and I teach about just some of the different
Okay.
characteristics of soil, but not how to just,
That's what I was gonna ask,
yeah.
is like where, like if it already is something that kind of fits into your curriculum to then be
Yes.
able to kind of go do and then have a conversation about it. So they've got both the skill, but then also why it matters, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's that artificial separation between lecture and lab that we do because it's
Hmm.
an artifact of what we've always done.
Yeah. We have a lot of like hands-on projects and stuff in our department that students work with and get a sense for. Um, like I have that structure project where like they will take a kit and like screw in a bunch of little like plastic members that represent the bridge pieces and then
Yeah.
like move weights along the bottom and actually watch the way that the forces will change inside of the members to see
Mm-hmm.
how the force gets distributed throughout a bridge. Um, we have a whole computer-aided design class where they're actually going through and like putting like designing parts on a computer and then
Yeah.
go and machine it at the Applied Technology Center. So they
Mm-hmm.
learn how to actually do that technical side of it also
That's awesome.
and like a little bit of 3D printing. Yeah.
So I ran into Rebecca at work last week, and I was caught thinking about how different what she does is, but how cool it is, but then what we do. So Rebecca teaches hospitality, and she like runs
Mhm.
the restaurant on campus, the student run restaurant. And she looked like she was going into surgery. Like her hair was all swept back, and like she had like not a hair net, but almost like a aprony type bonnet on her head. And like she had
Sure.
all the things that like a chef would wear. Like she had a apron and whatnot. And how that's all hands-on learning, but then there's like something that's almost artsy about it too. Like, I don't know, I got really into this show called The Bear on Hulu. This is,
Yeah, I've watched it.
yeah, so like that
Yeah.
is like art, right? Like just
Right.
having like there's an aesthetic piece to it, and there's like a chemistry slash cooking slash like kinesthetic piece to it.
Hmm.
It's like that's holistic and immersive.
Yeah. And I think there's definitely a part of that to the thing that we're talking about too, is just kind of the immersive experience that we can provide to students, not just like providing that. I was prepping with all of the stuff that I've done to think about like things that we've worked on hands-on, but I like the idea of spinning that as kind of how do we give students an immersive experience.
Yeah.
take your history class to the Battle of Gettysburg.
Or virtually, like
Yeah, yeah, sure. They have so many virtual tours everywhere,
it's true. I mean, it's not the same, but like so we
but there's no van on a virtual tour, Amanda.
that is
We
a
need a
big
van.
part of it. That is really true. It's all the adventures you have along the way sometimes. But I don't know. So I almost think that by having students do like the stuff that they're less comfortable with. So like I've seen Rebecca's students
Mhm.
in lecture too, and they're talking about like different cooking techniques, and I see all of her students like in their little restaurant gear like scribbling notes and stuff like that, and it's awesome. But I wonder if we were better at engaging both sides of students' brains, like the I keep saying it like that, but that's not really
We know.
it's not neurologically correct, but like engaging like the doing with the conceptual learning. Like
Hmm.
how many people would feel more confidence not only in that discipline, but and here's the thing, confident that it's okay to make mistakes and things, like to
Yeah.
try things and it not go perfect.
Or at least, right, because that gives us this is making me think about like analogies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of the hands-on stuff that we do in physics is always like an analogy to the way that stuff is, especially when you get into physics too, and it's all current or like
Okay.
the way that light behaves when it hits a boundary or whatever, right? Like there's a demo that we did when I was an undergrad where we would literally bring in a like tray, like a 3-inch deep like tray, fill it with water. Students would line up sponges to make
Mm-hmm.
like a little wall, but we leave a little gap, and then they would roll a like dowel type thing back and forth, like the things that you bake with, a rolling pin,
Okay.
like kind of back and forth to create waves, like this
Oh
wave
yeah.
front,
Uh-huh.
right? And so you have this like uniform wave front moving at a boundary, but there's a little gap, and then seeing what happens to the ripples of the water afterwards
Okay.
to explain diffraction and like interference and constructive and destructive type behavior for waves, for light, and like how light behaves when it hits a boundary or an
Mm-hmm.
aperture or something like that. But it's all that is all analogy there. And
Yes.
so thinking about like what are the limitations in our setup, and it's okay that things are not perfect, like
Yeah.
because but we need to have that conversation about what like how things actually behave and show
Mm-hmm.
students how things do behave in the real world.
Yeah. So my old, well, we didn't have it when I was there, but they got a brand new science building after I graduated from my undergrad. And so you're talking about wave tanks. Like they created a wave tank that was like the size of a room. Like it was enormous. And
Hmm.
you could simulate so many different things, like different landforms and things like that.
Hmm.
And I just think a lot of times inside like we have a stream table that you can use for analogous things like dams and like the creation of deltas and things like that, but like how those things are almost always like one offers, and like we never
Yeah.
like use them, like we use them for demo, but I don't know that we usually use them for, or that I've seen them used for like curriculum, like
Hmm.
testing
Hmm.
hypotheses and like measuring stuff. I'm sure there is curriculum out there like that, but I've never used it.
Yeah, it sounds like you're definitely thinking like you're getting into more of the integrated STEM stuff.
Sorry, sorry.
Almost. No, you're good. I like it. I like the idea of rethinking curriculum as being immersive and hands-on, and how do we do both? Because like that's one of the things that I tried to do with my like support reaction stuff that I did with students, where I had the I-beams with the like pin and the fixed support and all of that stuff. Whereas like I just turned it into a tutorial.
Yeah.
Like I brought the
Right.
stuff in, I set it up all around the room, and I said, go walk around, interact with these things, and then like decide what motion is allowed, what's not allowed. Like, can it move left and right? Can it move up and down? If
Gotcha.
not, there's a force there. So
Mm-hmm.
like they go around and have to like come up with that and generate that themselves, and then we have a discussion about it. And it's so much better, even if it takes longer, it's so much better for them to be able to do that, have a physical sense of how it behaves. So when then they go and do problems on their own, they're like, they have that in their head of like, I can pull on this and I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
And so I can then remember that.
So how do you manage a class like So how big are your classes typically?
I like that class. I've done it with like near 30 people.
Okay.
So,
So
yeah.
is it hard for you to kind of facilitate that, like, or not really? Because like the risk of breaking and things going awry is small.
The risk of things breaking and going awry is small.
Okay.
I just try to make sure I have them spread out enough so that people aren't clumping in one particular area and they're able to kind of move around. And I think that does help somewhat. But
Yeah.
uh, um, when they start asking me questions, I was just, these are good questions. Like, hold on to them, and we'll ask them when we come back together.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
just like I try and save some of that for a larger discussion,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think that helps with the facilitation.
So I was teaching today about actually this is kind of interesting about how the Earth's crust first formed, how its
Mm.
ocean crust first formed, and how its continental crust first formed, and my students had so many good questions today that I was like, wait, we'll get back to that. We'll get to it. And we did, but like, it was like a heavy lecture, and it's always a heavy lecture. And so I did this big thing on the board where like I pulled together so many different things that they had done from 101 and they recopied it. And so like that, and we talked about it and I looked at them and I was like, so in my head, I knew what the next step in the
Yep.
conversation was, but I could also like look out at the room and be like, we're not ready for this yet. So because like their heads were like, right. So, I think so in my head, what I wished was that I had, oh my God, you know, those like very basic, very simple puzzles that we sometimes do with in
Yeah.
like in our teaching and creativity center. Like I
The ones
wanted
that
those
you bought
bad.
for the
Yes.
Alzheimer's patients.
So, yeah, so for our listeners, we have these like very simple puzzles. And Terry Shamblin, who's been on a previous podcast, Terry taught me this, where she was like, you can just have students do really simple puzzles in like a race, and they can like it's a nice breakup for class and they have to work
Yeah.
together and you can turn it into a metacognitive thing where you're like, who were you during this race? Were you pushing everyone out of the way? Were you laying back? Like, were you collaborative? And so I do that with students like once in a great while, and it's always fun. But like when we asked our secretary, we're like, we just need like really simple puzzles, Nancy, like 24, 30 piece puzzles. One of them was out of stock when purchasing went to order it, and they were like, will this one do? And then I saw that all of the puzzles Nancy had ordered were like for Alzheimer's patients. And and it made me laugh. And so I tell students that when they're doing them. But it's like a
That's
nice
very good.
way like to break up class and
Yeah, I've used them.
yeah.
I brought them in one day because I was just like I need to fix the mood. Like I'm like
Yeah.
they do not talk. Like I need them to talk like out loud to each other, to me. And like it was a good. I'm glad I did it the day that I did because they had also had a test that day, so it helped them reset before
Yes.
class, which was really nice.
Yeah. I told them a funny story today because so they knew we had just gotten back a from a conference, and so I told them about like this academic fisticuffs that we had seen in a conference in one of the sessions, which you don't always see. Like I feel like they used to build them almost like I remember as a student going to a seminar and they build it as like the Harvard climatologist model versus the Yale climatologist model for the next 100 years, and like they had different CO2 sensitivities, and who was gonna win? And so we saw that sort of in a geology setting, and the students were like dying because okay, and then we'll get back to it, but like one faculty so one person was doing this talk and he had kind of a controversial, which he acknowledged, conclusion, and the two chairs who were running the session, one of them was like, at the end there were a few minutes left before the next talk, and he's like, I'd like to take this time to say that none of the work that you're demonstrating goes along with these 5 studies that I worked on. And then the presenter was like, I thought you would say something like this, so I came prepared with this slide and clicked and went to a rebuttal slide. And I was like, this is amazing. So anyway. So I was telling the students about that and they're like, no. And I'm like, yes. So,
That's so funny.
so, but I like reset the energy and I was like,
Yeah.
all right. So in our conversation, the takeaway is that like when we start to heat up rocks, quartz melts first. Okay. This is what we need to take from that. And we need to apply it here.
That's really funny. No, I do like the idea of just using something hands-on to break up the way that you're doing class because I think one of the things for me and us in particular is that our job is so much in your head and like thinking about stuff that like it's nice for me when I'm on break to just go throw some hay bales around for a week and not have to think about things. Like it's nice to just kind of reset
Yeah.
and like get some stuff out of my head, you know?
I do that when I work from home too. And so this is like
Yeah.
another thing. I think that people don't realize that like you are in fact a learner as well. So what works for
Yeah.
you, right? Like works for students because like I was working from home this morning and I was answering emails and grading and like updating my LMS and I was like, I'm going to take a break and fill all my bird feeders. Like,
Yep.
right? And there's just something that is just like authentic isn't the right word, but you're like your hands are dirty and you're engaged in a way that you're not when you're clicking on something that's changing a screen.
Yeah. Or just writing
Or just
writing for an hour and trying to like also think about things
yes,
that you're being told.
while
Yeah.
you hear the ding of the email that is like going off in like the background and you're like I just need to lock in as the kids
Was that
say.
you? Because I just heard that too.
There is noise in my house. It's true. No, are you talking about the email bing?
I heard an email. I just heard a doop, like an email that just came through,
I
and I
think
don't know
that
where that
might
was.
just be in your head because I closed my email to avoid that
That's
very
fair.
thing.
Yeah, I don't know. We both have headphones on, so you're right. It could not have come from you. I don't know what that noise was, but I just got a notification for something.
It's Pavlovian at this point.
It is. You said email, and I went. I
Bing.
heard. Doop.
Oh my god. But yeah,
I,
go ahead.
I did have one more activity
What do
that
you
I
do?
had put together that I wanted to talk about. So this was a big thing that came out of my grad work when I was in grad school because I was studying about how students learn and connect math and physics to each other.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff that happens in upper division physics that involves thinking about coordinate systems.
Okay.
So like the standard one is XYZ that everybody deals with.
Sure.
But in three dimensions, we often in physics will talk about things that have spherical symmetry. So that means everything's like pointing out
Okay.
radially. Or we'll talk about stuff that has like cylindrical symmetry. So it's still radially, but like it's more like stacking a bunch of CDs on top of each other, like
Okay.
radially, right?
Gotcha.
Cylindrical type symmetry. Um, and like we have to do a lot of calculus with those things in those coordinate systems. And students had a really hard time being able to figure out what like a little differential length or a little differential area like on one of those surfaces was.
Okay.
And so I put together a whole activity to kind of help them understand where all the extra terms came from
Okay.
when you were like doing a differential volume. Because if you have like a little small square, you have like dx, dy, and dz, like
Yep.
tiny little differential changes
Yep.
in each of them. But like a spherical coordinate system, it's actually like the radius squared times sine of the n angle
And they're just
times
like,
like a exactly, yeah, exactly like that, right? And it's just like, but where do all those terms come from? It's not anything that we really talk about. And so I created an activity for them where I literally just bought a bunch of globes that you could just blow up with latitude and longitude. Because
Fun.
a spherical coordinate system is just
Yes.
latitude and
It
longitude,
is. It is.
right? Like that's all it is. And so I had actually had stuff where they could like trace out on it and like I didn't get them globes. I got them like plastic dodgeballs that they
Perfect.
could then draw on with Sharpies because then we could just do the
Oh,
squirt dry erase stuff
perfect.
afterwards. But they were able to actually think about it like arc length, and that's where all of the extra terms were coming from because a change in like an angle,
Yeah.
there's an arc to it that makes the length,
Right.
and so they can build it up. And like that helps stuff stick so much better for them than just sitting through a lecture and just being like, here's what it is,
Hmm.
right? And taking the extra time to do that, even though it was like maybe 30 minutes more than like they would usually spend on that
Yeah.
topic, gave them such a better foundation for all of the rest of the class
Mm-hmm.
whenever they were doing those types of things. So it like really did save time in the end of it and gave them a stronger like geometric foundation for the things that they needed to do. So
Gotcha. That's fun. So how do you
yeah.
think you would do something like hands-on learning in like a sociology class? I always do this to you where I come up with like random things and I just throw it to you and see what happens.
So yeah, that's interesting. I am not a sociologist and don't think I have the touchstone for that. But I was just talking with somebody today where they were doing a project in one of their math classes where they went around and surveyed students about like recycling
Okay.
bins and like whether or not stuff was visible enough or people knew about like the new recycling initiative or whatever. And it actually informed how things worked at the college. So
Cool.
I definitely think something along those lines, right? And
Mm-hmm.
in psychology, I know there's stuff that they can do, and they've got some new lab equipment that they're actually like
Yeah.
looking at cognitive psychology stuff. But even just kind of like doing some survey things. I remember being in a psychology class in undergrad, and it was some sort of principle or something about people's ability to like speak. It was some sort of test where like the professor was talking
Mm-hmm.
and I was supposed to just say exactly what he said as quickly as possible after he said it.
Okay.
And like
Oh, that's
the whole thing
interesting.
was that yeah, the whole thing was that like if you're doing that, you're not actually like gonna retain the information. So like you won't know what it is about. And there was something about that. Unfortunately, I did retain some of the information, so I kind of broke some of his stuff.
Good job.
Uh yeah, I know. I'm ruining curves in my entire life. But like there are definitely like principles and stuff that you can replicate if it's except probably some that you shouldn't, like the Stanford prison experiment. Like don't do
True. True.
that. Yeah.
Touche.
Don't lock students in the room and say like we're going to talk about Lord of the
And if
Flies.
you
Like
do, tell them that Ben told you to do that and not
no, no, don't do that.
I've seen sociologists play with like websites, which is really interesting.
Okay.
In like, so there are websites that will like by zip code really do like your likelihood to complete college or to own a home, like things
Oh
like that.
wow.
Yeah, it's super interesting.
Yeah.
It's like an equity website done by like, and you're an opportunity. It's really an opportunity website. And that's super interesting because you can see
Hmm.
how people in geographically very close areas have like based on different factors, wildly different potential outcomes or expected outcomes. And it's creepy. It's super duper creepy, but like it does. I mean, I think playing with data in sociology is super duper
Right.
telling, right?
Well, because that's what they would do in the
Hmm.
fields, maybe.
I would think so. Oh, I have a reminder. Do you hear that?
Yeah. I thought that was an echo from me, and I was like, again, how is that happening? I'm hearing things.
No, that was my robot servant telling me to bring in my I have an apple tree that is behind me and is just starting to grow again. So it is a self-pollinating apple tree and I bought it last year when I felt the need to nurture things. Anyway, I just got a reminder to bring my tree in
It's
because it's going to freeze tonight and so we can't have that.
okay.
I think that our audience is full of creative and intelligent people who probably know
Yeah.
of like lots of other different ways that we haven't thought of, especially in non-STEMmy fields. Like, oh, so like
Right.
if Christina is listening to this, and Christina does global education, like I would say that Christina would have people bring in artifacts from their cultures, as like a way to talk
Mm-hmm.
about hands-on learning.
Yeah.
Whether that's like, I mean, that can be anything, any sort of artifact from that makes you special in your culture and identity.
Yeah, because I think it's not just about having something hands-on either. So it's not all about the hand stuff, but like doing something immersive that you can kind of engage with things the way that you would in like the field or with the discipline and like or giving students different ways to interact with the content rather than just kind of sitting there and lecture.
Yes. Filling
Yeah.
the student's cup. because that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Or at least that's
correct.
not the only way it works. I don't know. Excellent. Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have anything
Do
else?
you
Are
have
you
any?
good? No,
No, I was just gonna ask you.
I think I would love to hear from our audience. Whether you leave it in
Yeah.
the comments somewhere under our podcast or on our YouTube channel, or you email us at coffeebreakclassroom@gmail.com. I think we'd love to hear what you do to engage your students with your different discipline specific materials.
Yeah. I would love to hear from you regardless. But anybody out there, send us
Hello,
an email. Hello.
Bueller. All right. Well, on that note, bye,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thanks for stopping by. What was that energy? That was wild.
Bye.